Hello, welcome to the Thursday's Trading London Open Silver Bullet for June 4th, 2026. And let's go to the pre-market analysis here. So, daily chart. You can see we are pretty extended to the upside after this old high was taken out. And yesterday we had a first down day since a very long time. And today we gapped open lower. Maybe not that significantly, but on the setting, we do have a volume imbalance in here, or a gap from this opening price to this closing price. There is a difference, and that difference can be measured as set gap. So that's definitely interesting levels in here to watch for today so far. I still like the sell side liquidity down there. That's pretty smooth. We have some volume imbalances along the way. So let's see. Let's see what we can get, but the sell side liquidity here, way too clean. I like this inefficiency too. Ask for potential discount on the hourly chart. A 15-minute. So yeah, 15-minute sell side liquidity here, still way too clean. The breaker. So that's kind of like the downside objectives that I like at the moment. Good morning, Sonia. So yeah, based on 15 minutes, it still looks favorable for the downside, I would say. We made a low and a lower low here, yes, and price rejected that so far, and be trading above this high potentially. We have the daily settlement gap that's annotated here. I maybe make it a little bit less drastic on the chart, but nonetheless, based on the 15 minutes here, this is the current dealing range, this impulse price ring from the high to this low, this one, because that's the lowest one, and that's our premium or equilibrium to premium range, meaning that I would like to see price snap above the 50% at least to be considered a market that's viable for selling. If obviously selling will be the case today, after all, right? All right, 5 minute. 5 minute has this somewhat of a breaker here. But again, we'll be trading back into this impulse price swing lower into premium of that. And we still have all of the sell side liquidity resting. So I feel like that's quite reasonable expectation still to the downside. At least that's what I'm thinking. 1 minute. I like the relative lows in here, very smooth. This is the new day opening up for today, basically. We'll be dealing around it. Nice relative lows. All the sell side resting here also. Relative high is being just taken out. In here. Into premium of that larger range. Well, on the near term, this sell side liquidity pool here is quite obnoxious here. It's from 113, 125, 132, 55, 23. Yeah, all of these lows are very smooth and relatively equal. And now we are piercing to and through the 50%, the equilibrium level off of the current dealing range, meaning that we just entered a premium market. So a market that could be potentially be sold. So yeah. So I suppose all different factors for the price to be sold off are being met. And that's what I'll be looking for as we go further into the actual silver bullet hour here. I like those stratifical lows on the hourly chart, and I like this SIBI with the weeks. Yes, the weeks take a lot of precedence here. So this large week and this large week, trading up into that as potential premium, and I'll be watching whether we can make a turnaround and attack lower there. So all right, so that's how it looks like so far. And now let's watch price. Dollar index working with this fair value gap here again. Very shallow run on the buy side here, old high. Wouldn't be surprised if it pushed higher through that gap. Actually, that would make sense. So that new day opening up here on dollar index, lower, like a trap, drop into this discount array, bullish value gap, and prepare a deeper run on the buy side liquidity, which, if that's the case, should put another layer of pressure to the indices. So we'll see. 3 a.m. started. So let's go. All right. So based on the current structure in here, this would be like the first setup I would like to use the 240 bullish fair value gap as a potential inversion fair value gap. Send us lower towards those relative equal lows here. Obviously, for that setup to even be considered, price would need to go below this level on a closing basis. That's not there yet, but that's like an idea. I still wouldn't be too upset if it would push a little bit deeper into the premium here. When it comes to the calendar, we have the medium impact news at 8:30, but it's pre-NFP Thursday, which yeah, it's likely to invite some trouble, especially for the morning session, I believe. So if we could see a relatively nice price action here during the long open, that would be very nice. But let's see. So stabbing one more time into the consecutive encroachment of the new day opening gap from Tuesday, taking relative equal highs, buy sell liquidity. Okay, trading to the high of the new day opening gap. Good luck, Sonia. So yeah, buy sell liquidity above this Asia high, relative equal highs was just engaged, being taken out. And trade to the high of the new day opening gap from Tuesday. And so far we wicked above it, but we couldn't maintain a body above it, a close on a closing basis. I'm annotating all of those species as orange because I'm assuming that these can act as potential bearish inversion for value gaps, or that's how I would like to use them, at least. So at the moment, I'm mostly interested in this one and this one. If you could close below those, I would be more prompt to be entering. This one I'm still watching right now, whether it proves itself as a potential inversion or not. So now we closed below it. Therefore, any return back into it should be met with resistance and price being sent lower. Let's see if that will be the case. That will be like an early sign whether we can look for lower or not. Alright, the first candle traded to the consecutive encroachment, but the body stayed below the low or at the low, so that's potentially nice. That's potentially nice so far. Alright, so far the body is respecting the low of this potential inversion fair value gap. And if that's the case, it should have no problems to actually sell off and close below this and or this. And that's what I would potentially be or could be using then. I don't necessarily want to use this one because I feel like we are at the stage and the moment where we could seek still a little bit higher or deeper of a premium here. So we'll see. Welcome, don't you, Christian? Yes, I'm holding more of a bearish stance. I mean, I'm thinking that we might be seeking the 30,266.5 sell side liquidity in form of relative equal lows. That's where I'm ultimately looking for at the moment, until proven otherwise, obviously. But that's where my attention is. So yeah, this isn't necessarily working as an inversion as we went above it here. So I'm glad I didn't participate on this one particularly. Well, so far meandering inside this new day opening up from Tuesday, but also tapping into a very shallow but yet premium market here. I believe that up to 62% of retracement of that larger range is still quite reasonable expectation what it could do on the upside. But let's see. So far we made a high, retraced lower, and now we made an attempt to make a higher high, but we failed. You are a pro, Sonia. You are the GOAT. For real, man, for real. Right, so very subtle, but ES made a higher high here, while Nasdaq fails. There is SMT on the highs right here. At the end of high from Tuesday, and now we're seeing some more of a displacement here. I'll prepare my order just in case I can actually get something in here. Right, so I'll be thinking something like this. If we could close below this fair value gap here, I like that. More aggressive way would be using this one here right now and trusting that it's kind of like it kind of made the high here. That wouldn't be necessarily too bad, I suppose. But still, if they will play some funny games and make a higher high, then that's a little bit riskier, I suppose. This, if I can get this or this one, it should have way more meaning behind it, that it already kind of like made a turn and it's more prompt to deliver. Let's see nonetheless. A closing price below this activates this potential bearish inversion here or here, depending on which one it allows for. I'll be looking for sells there. Alright, so we traded to this one here, but not on a closing basis yet. This here is the last opportunity probably. Okay, we went below it. We almost touched the lower one, but we came all the way up and closed here. That is not inversion by any means, but it formed this bearish fair value gap here. And I like this one. I like this one though, but it already moved quickly away. Well, I might have just missed it here. Let's see. I mean, this will be probably the last chance if we close below this one here. I could maybe look for any return back as a potential entry there. Something like this. If it offers a touch to it there. Well, it looks like it's running already a little bit, so a little bit too slow in here. A little bit too slow in here on my side. Shibal. So this right now might be a little bit more tricky, I suppose. Interesting, Sonia. Interesting.
Order filled.
Well, so it got me in here on this inversion. But yeah, now I'm a little bit uncertain whether this was a right call. But I assume that trading up into this one is completely permissible for sure. But still, it would need to be turning around here. Well, let's see. Let's see. sticking to the initial idea. Admittedly, it would be better if I got this one here, this entry here, and I'm thinking that maybe I chased the price a little bit too far with this one. After already it gave a return here instead. Yeah, because it already returned to this end hook here, which now we are trading off of that end hook, which makes it a little bit tricky here. Yeah, likely a stop out here, nonetheless. The body is respecting the consecutive encroachment of this verbal gap here is the last line of defense here. I mean, the bodies did respect and we moved away of that. So it should just completely nail apart and just drop very aggressively lower if that's the case. Because thinking in terms of like a market maker sell model here, that would be like the smart money reversal, low risk sell, distribution, and now the second stage of redistribution would be potentially in play or in the cards to clear out the sell side liquidity here. But if that's the case, then the speed and magnitude is very important. All right, let's see. Trading back below this inversion here, that's a good sign. Quick run below this low should extend us towards those relative equal lows. Well, good. At least we are fighting some battle here. So that's always welcome. So yeah, now because we went above it and below it here, I'll demand a measure of responsiveness at this level. So it should be rejecting price to the downside. I don't like any return back to this higher one because that's again a rather problematic. This close above this inversion value gap is already a bad sign. Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't coming back to it here like this. If it was meant to deliver towards the sell side liquidity here, as I was possibly expected.
Stop filled.
Well, so that's a loss here. That's a loss here. And again, I got slipped negatively at the end, or in the end. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, glad that I used or was using the lower risk versus the maximum amount, but still, not the best execution after all, for sure. The idea was there, but maybe a little overzealous or too ambitious for the time being. But yeah, nonetheless, that's what it was for today here. $270, so $20 more, even though it wasn't necessarily very fast. Interesting. Nonetheless, I'll be sticking with that bias, with that idea of potentially looking for the sell side liquidity down there. By the way, I'll update the counter here. 10. Six to 10, but still 0.5% over above the water, basically. All right, we came all the way up into this 304 potential inversion for value gap here. Initial respect out of it. But yeah, we have also this bearish for value gap here that we went above it that could act as potential bullish inversion for value gap at the moment. So I assume that if any downside would be in play for this long open silver bullet, we would need to go below it, below this 317 bearish for value gap. Otherwise, it's not out of question that we can seek 565, maybe even higher as some measure of premium or deeper premium in regards to this range. I wonder if I would get this one here. If I was quicker and got that feel, if I would actually make it here with my profit target, but I think so, or it would be very, very close. So that worst case would have been a break-even loss here. And I mean, if I used or was able to get that, but then I used the lower one here, which was apparently too deep or too close to the end dog, too close to the discount here, and it got me good. Yeah, fair enough. At the beginning, I always refer to the daily chart. I mean, almost always on Vision, but I'm always aware of that daily chart. So in that regard, I'm considering higher time frames. Yes, you don't necessarily need higher time frame view for silver bullet. You can focus on the liquidity and the inefficiencies that are just close to the price. And you'll be just fine too. But yeah, I do refer to the higher time frames. Maybe I'm not necessarily showing that or like looking at those higher time frame for a long time, but I do. So yeah, I like how price has issues to go through this inversion for value gap here, the highest one. Only wicks were allowed inside. All the bodies were cut below. But at the same time, price is trading into this 317 bullish inversion for value gap, which didn't give way as it is now. So still kind of tricky here, kind of open in a sense. So Well, I like this reaction here. It closed below that. It should act as reclaimed bearish fair value gap now. So any return to it should be met with further selling, in my mind. Yes, made a higher high here too. Nasdaq didn't. So there is SMT on the highs. I like how much heaviness it offered around this inversion here. So any touch like this to the low should be met with actual selling, in my mind. Right, perfect touch in here, and I like the reaction to the downside initially. That's very, very promising. So let's see if we can see a run lower to take out the sell set here and maybe dive lower. Very nice, yeah, very, very nice. So that would have been a way better trade in here already, in hindsight, obviously, but live I got a little bit too excited about it, I guess. But I like this dive lower, and preferably it should really expand with large ranges towards the sell side here. Now, because it closed below this bearish inversion fair value gap, it should also offer measure of resistance. And if we could close below this one, it should also be a measure of resistance. And honestly, after we would close below this one, it should really just dive then into the new day opening up, down to consecutive encroachment, very reasonable, and the relative equal lows. Why didn't I sold at the very first inversion flag gap in here, right? Yeah, I mean, as I said, I wanted to give it a little bit more room. I didn't want to be like very aggressive about it here, in terms of like if it wanted to reach for some deeper, higher prices, deeper premium first, then I wanted to allow for that. But yeah, I guess admittedly after it formed the SMT with the ES here, with that failure swing, and then the second time it went below it, that was way better as an idea to do that for sure. But yeah, I didn't get it. It was too fast. Then I missed also this little one here, but just a little bit. And then I kind of got caught with somewhat of a chasing this down run here, I believe. In a sense, that's what I eventually trapped myself into doing. But well, it is what it is. Price traded higher again to that higher inversion. Nice response off of that. Beautiful reclaimed bearish fair value gap here. Beautiful inversion fair value gap here. And I would expect a run lower to clear out the short-term low and towards the relative equal low sell side rather soon in here. Obviously, I already took one trade for a day, so I'm not allowed to engage on this idea, but regardless, if it would deliver the way I'm expecting, that's already like very good session in my mind. Yes, the loss sucks. That's obviously, it's not pleasant, but I'm also like kind of learning to be indifferent to that in front of people, which is like really solid way of building an armor, I suppose. All right, that little spike below this inversion here and coming back, that's something that I don't necessarily like to see, or wouldn't necessarily like to see. But still, this inversion for value gap here would be the line in the sand to offer to cap any rallies. And let's see if it can offer that run lower. If not, that's fine too, like no biggie. But we'll see. All right, so I traded into this here. It should quickly repel price lower now. All right, I like how the bodies are staying below it. So I'm watching whether we can roll over here. Attack the sell side liquidity here rather quickly, and then into the relative equal lows. I mean, at least make an attempt to run those relative equal lows at 450. That would be like the idea or ideal scenario maybe for it. Okay, trade to the high of that inversion file gap. So that's like really we are running low on time. So it needs to repel that aggressively now if it's actually gonna deliver here. Otherwise, I feel like this session goes to some troubled waters. But yeah, because it booked a high, I like how it's repelling already below it. So that's potentially good. Let's see if that can be maintained. All right, I like to see that. And now quickly just run for the sell side. Just smash right on through it. I would say there is no need for price to come back any higher at this moment. And it should just quickly fall out of bed. Out of the bed. I like that candle here, and I'd say it should not, or nothing should come back and go above it here. If we do, then I'm probably wrong, but it should just drop and attack the sell side. I like that speed that's coming. All right, so now as we close below that lower profile gap here, it should act as resistance. And now this is the line in the sand that should not be breached. And price should repel, targeting this low here and lower. So yeah, I mean, that admittedly looks way more constructive in here to deliver. So yeah, we'll see. All right, return to this one here, and that should be met with quick reaction to the downside. I don't want to see any closing price above it. If it does, then I'm just cutting the bait, I suppose. All right, it's really taking its time in here, but I would say that the next candle really would need to start performing lower. Otherwise, it's becoming trickier and trickier. Yeah, but I mean, I like the respect to the low of this inversion fly gap, but it should just quickly repel to the downside. Exactly. That's what I was looking for. So now it should really nicely expand or extend towards the low, and then we'll see how much of a continuation it could deliver, I suppose. But yeah, that's in itself like way better deliver here on this inversion. On this inversion, it was very well used. This one is very well used so far. Versus here, that one was only retraded to immediately. This one wasn't used at all, and we went below here, but it wasn't used either. Then a little bit of response here, but that was just very short term. It traded all the way up here, and then this way nicer bearish type of order flow move that makes, I suppose, a little bit more sense. And this is what I was looking for, to be honest, in the first place. So still watching if we can see and attack that sell side, that short-term sell side here. I don't think we need to return to it at this moment. I'll just melt it. All right, so sell side here is in the striking distance. All right, so it went very close to it, and now playing some little games. But yeah, I still think that this should be attacked, nonetheless. And price shouldn't necessarily go above this inversion, but yeah, that remains to be seen how it delivers. Hello, Money Glitch. You are just in time for the end of the stream, but nonetheless, nice to see you. And yeah, that's going to be it nonetheless for today. Or I'm approaching today. That's the business. Shorting this inversion value gap here with the idea that we will run towards the relative equal lows. Price made a deeper retracement and then started delivering a more favorable run that I was personally looking for here. So that's the business for today. Thanks for watching. Kudos to you guys for being with the stream, and see you guys tomorrow for the last day of week. And first month will be there. I mean, tomorrow will be 1 month of trading with this series. No less. We got the sell side, nice little run here. So yeah, here, this opportunity there and there, way better versus what it did here. And with this, I would had far better chance of succeeding. And actually, if I would manage to not get in here and wait a little bit more for a little bit more information, then that would be better. But yeah, it is what it is. Thanks, Sonia. Thanks. See you guys.